Hello Internet, Rumbutt here, and it's finally time for Dark Souls 3. I finished my first playthrough maybe a few hours ago. Yeah, I think 3 hours ago I finished my first playthrough, and now I'm going to be doing a nice little Let's Play with all my knowledges that I got from my first playthrough. So, little heads up. For most of this playthrough, I'm going to be playing offline. There's a few reasons for that. I will be going online at certain points to do certain things, but for the most part, I'm going to play offline so that I can. There's several reasons, and I'll get into that when they come up. But for now, let's begin.
Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric, where the transitory lands of the Lords of Cinder converge. In venturing north, the pilgrims discover the truth of the old words. The fire fades, and the lords go without thrones. When the link of fire is threatened, the bell tolls, unearthing the old lords of Cinder from their graves. Aldrich, saint of the deep, Farron's undead legion, the Abyss Watchers. And the reclusive lord of the profaned capital. Yom the Giant. Only in truth, the lords will abandon their thrones. And the unkindled will rise. Nameless, accursed undead, unfit even to be cinder. And so it is that ash seeketh embers.
Well, that is a hell of an opening cutscene now, isn't it? Alright, let's get our name in here. Or my name, I should say. Rumbutt. Rumbert? No, Rumbutt. Oops. Okay. So, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. First thing we're gonna do is, great feature back from Bloodborne. Saved faces. Alright. I know that doesn't look that great in the close-up, but, further out, it looks better. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Alright. Yeah, it keeps everything. That's cool. Hold on. You need to make sure, especially if you're a male character, to pick the mature voice for reasons. There are reasons. Trust me. Okay. And now I'm going to be starting as a deprived. A nekkidman. Because, well, I wanna be super balanced. I wanna do as much as possible. So we're gonna be deprived. It's not that bad a starting class, except for the fact that you're naked. Nakedness is actually really bad in Dark Souls 3, I've learned. And I'll be talking about that later. But yeah, we're gonna be deprived, naked and of unknown origin, either an unfathomable fool in life or was stripped of possessions upon burial. I'm going to go with the stripped of possessions upon burial idea and choose no burial gift. Most of the burial gifts are actually pretty good, I would say, other than Divine Blessing, because it's so good you'll never use it. And it's so good and so rare that you'll never use it. Hidden Blessing is actually kind of decent, although it is just almost as rare as the Divine Blessing. The rest of the stuff is just going to help you out in the early game, except for Cracked Red Eye Orbs, which will let you do early invasions, which, you know, funsies. And then everything else, and I guess Young White Branches would also help you in if you got invaded. So this is to invade, and this is kind of if you get invaded. And then everything else will just kind of help you out in the early game. But yeah, we're going to be going with no burial gift. And you notice only the deprived gets the sick fashion there. Everybody else, if you go naked, you will have pants. Kind of that's the default underwear now. I think that this is actually that's actually an armor piece. So you actually start with an armor piece as a deprived. So I've talked about that enough. Let's go. Okay, so here we are, Cemetery of Ash. We just came out of this coffin. Now, in the cutscene earlier, the Bell of Awakening, they said that the bell woke the Lords of Cinder from their graves, and that when the Lords of Cinder went off and left, that now the Unkindled are going to rise. And then we heard the bell, right? And we rose out of this coffin here. So it seems to me that the bell, which for lack of a better term and for lore reasons we're going to call it Bell of Awakening, is waking up everybody. I'm going to just test out the movesets. Alright, R2's a jump. Pretty basic. Really slow jump. Okay. So we start out with plank shield, club, and let's check our equipment here. And yeah, you can see that it's actually an armor piece. You might notice something weird about my equipment screen. So yeah, you can switch that on and off, which is really great for when you want to do that swapping during combat. You can also do that with the item screen. It's pretty sick. And yeah, so I'm going to keep the item screen like that for now. And then here's our stats. We'll go over stats once we get to the level up. Once we get to a point where we can level up. But yeah, and then we see here can't do messages, can't do online. So I'm gonna remove this stuff from here, and then I'm gonna add. I'm just gonna leave that blank for now. That's a little tool belt, like in Bloodborne, that you can access here. Here's our gesture menu. We got some default gestures. We'll be messing with those later. Here's our tutorial messages. Tells us how to control the camera, like we haven't been doing that already. A regular attack. All of these can be put in a memo and filed shit you know already. So these are dev messages, obviously. I'm just gonna do what they tell me. Sick. Alright. There it tells you how to dodge and backstep. Tells you how to sprint. This is a little new for me. I'm doing, for cinematic effect, I'm doing the whole auto HUD thing. I don't know how it's going to work out. Got a soul of a deserted corpse there. They changed the soul item names around for this game, which was a nice change-up. A nice change-up. It's interesting. Get wrecked, nerd. Alright, and now we have our second item. The Ashen Estus Flask. And if we look, that looks rather like an Oscar of Astora. It's an Elite Knight. Got the Elite Knight set on, and a Crest Shield. And that looks like a fucking Lord Vessel, doesn't it? Yep. Okay, so now let's go up to the right here, where this guy is apparently having some sort of existential crisis. I wonder what this message is going to say. I wonder what this message is going to say. Oh, look at that. It's teaching us how to backstab. Imagine that. We're just going to do that. Good night. Nothing over there. And this tells us how to block. I wonder why. We're not going to fuck with that guy for now. Right now, we're going to go fuck with this guy. This tells us how to parry and riposte, but we have the plank shield, which if you look at that little icon right there, see how that's the little square in the lower left-hand corner? Plank shield cannot parry. In fact, Deprived is the only class that starts with a non-parry shield. So decent weapon though. The club does decent damage, and that tells us how to kick. That tells us how to kick. That tells us how to kick. There we go. Alright, now we're going to come at this crossbow asshole from the side. Yeah, my first playthrough I played the Mercenary, or the Wanderer 3.0, as it were. And that tells you how to use items, assuming you're going to have to heal after that. And the Mercenaries' swords, dual-wield swords, well, at least in single-wield form, the scimitar needed 2 hits to take these hollows out. So, 2-hand, and we can use the weapon skills. Okay, I'm gonna kill these guys for the souls, but then I have a decision to make at that point. Good night. Okay. Now there's a decision to make, because this, right, if we walk over here, we're going to see this helpful developer message. It says turn back. So, in classic Souls fashion, oh, interesting thing I noted, they might have patched this out, but let's see. Okay. Yeah. No, not patched out. So, I think it's actually a feature. Alright, so check this out. Wait, what the fuck? Why is my stamina bar not showing up? Okay, you see my stamina running out, and then it stops. right? But I'm in this deep water that I walk, you know, that I can walk in, right? It slows me down. I'm holding the stick all the way right now in this deep water. But if I try to sprint, it uses no stamina. Rolling still uses stamina, but sprinting does not. Alright. So, basically, yeah. I think that that's a feature, and I think there's a reason for it. And I think the reason is so that you can run away from this guy. This guy right here is the first enemy that killed me in the game. Now, the decision right now is, should I try to kill it now with a fucking deprived? Alright, I'm gonna give this one shot. If I don't one-shot it, then fuck it. Shield's not gonna do me any good here. So... got a soul. Holy shit, I survived. Okay. Yeah, no, I decided I'm not gonna give it a shot, because shit. One hit. Okay, so... remember how I was saying being naked really sucks in Dark Souls 3? So, let's go to our stat screen. Wait. Let's go to our stat screen. And, if you look over on the right side of the screen, and we can actually click the help thing, you see this, the physical defense on the right side of the screen, right? Right, over here. Well, all the defense numbers. Shit. Okay. So, over on the right side of the screen where our defenses are, you see defense and absorption. So, and I'll put a link to the video. I don't recall at this particular moment who did it, but there will be a link to their video in this. I watched the video and it was pretty good. But basically, those numbers under defense are your that's your defense from stats. Now, since I started as deprived, all my stats are the same, which is why all my defenses are 56. Now, what that defense number there does, that 56 does, is it cuts 56 points of damage off of everything of those types of damage that hits me. So basically anything that hits me gets 56 damage taken right off the bat, right? The absorption is a percentage based on my armor, of which I'm currently only wearing this loincloth. So, alright. Now, but there's more to the story than that. Because if we go into our equipment screen and we bring it up to regular equipment screen, and we switch it over with the triangle key so we can see our defenses once again, if I take off the loincloth, did you see how the numbers from my stats went down? That's because you get a bonus or a penalty you get a, well, okay, you either get, depending on how you look at it, a bonus from wearing armor, just wearing any armor, or a penalty for not wearing it from your flat defense right there. So you notice, I'm going to take 8 more points of damage because I took my loincloth off. And you also notice my absorption is 0 because I'm not wearing any armor whatsoever. So, I forget the exact numbers. It adds up to 50% bonus total, so I get 50% of 48, so I'd end up with 72 flat defense if I was wearing any armor at all, any 4 pieces of armor. So it's very important to be wearing something in all of your slots. Now, if you have to take down an item, if you have to take off a piece of armor for weight reasons, so that you can improve your roll, you want to take off the gloves first and the helmet second. You always want to be wearing a body piece and a leg piece because they give you the most flat defense bonus. We are only wearing the leg piece right now, so we only get a little bit of defense. 8. That's... yeah. Anyway. So that's important. Oh yeah, actually, you know what? Let's take a little time to look around at this place that we woke up in, right? So they're kind of these ruins. There's this the Lord vessel there that I mentioned earlier. We've got a bunch of gravestones and a bunch of coffins, and then we've got this gigantic castle. This gigantic castle structure off to our right here when we start. And going over to where that creature was, I know what the creature actually is. I'm just not going to tell you. We can look up and we can see we actually go underneath a bridge in the castle structure. Like you can see we're underneath a bridge in the castle structure right there. So that's pretty cool. There may be important reasons for that later on, for why I mention that. When does my stamina bar show up? When it gets really low. Okay. So, yeah. The auto HUD is something new for me. So here we are, and if we come out here, we can look over here, we can see that this castle structure is fucking huge. That is ridiculous. And also, look at all these pretty mountains, and I really wish I had the binoculars already, but we don't have them yet. So yeah, that's a crazy castle, and cliffs and all that, and then this is interesting. That is that's a place that we're probably going to go, and that looks like a place we're going to go. I wonder what'll be there. So right here, the tutorial tells us what bonfires do. Yeah. They let us do things like restore our hit points. So we're going to do that. We get our Estus. We get our rest gesture. We get a reward for sitting at a bonfire, other than an achievement, of course. Alright, so now we have our first kind of area. Because that was really... I mean, this is still the tutorial, but this is a little bit less the tutorial. See, this guy actually has an actual sword. I'm gonna two-hand my weapon now. You notice, even two-handing, these guys take 2 hits. Because they're higher level. Didn't get the backstab there. Alright. So, we're gonna go around this way. Go back here. Yeah, might as well one-hand then, right? Oh, also notice we get covered in dirt, which is especially noticeable when you're, Okay, did you hear that sound? That, whoop sound. So that lets you know, in Dark Souls, when you're doing an attack or a roll or something like that, and you get hit, you take more damage. That sound is an audible cue to let you know. And actually, one second, I want to check something. Shit. Wrong, okay. So, I don't know if that'll do what I want it to do. I'm hoping that it will. Okay, so if we look down here, wait, was there an item up there? I don't even remember. This is all really old to me. So if we come down here, we'll notice some dudes. There's a crossbow dude, and a dude with a spear and a shield who's going to turtle there, and it's a really narrow ledge, so dodging isn't a good idea, and I don't have a really good shield. So we're not going to do that. We instead, we're gonna deal with them a different way. We're not gonna fight them head on, because why would we fight them head on? Okay, so here's a crossbow dude here. He only takes 1 hit. And then there's this guy over here. Get a fading soul off of him. So, that's a different path that we could have taken. So let's go up there and see where that leads, shall we? So if we go up here, we're going to see while dashing, jump. Now for me, I have it set to the traditional controls as opposed to the pressing in L3. Your mileage may vary. Do whatever feels most comfortable for you. For me, I'm so used to the double tap that to do anything else would feel wrong. Although there are advantages to the L3 control. In particular, it allows you to run and roll directly out of a run, which is handy. But so there's an item over there, and we just got told to jump to it. So let's do that. Wow, way to go. Way to go. And of course this is the plunging attack tutorial, which we missed because we already killed that guy. So now we're going to go back and make that jump again. First try every time, right guys? First try every time. Every time. We totally made it the first time. Totally didn't fail. Ooh, actually, this provides a good opportunity to talk about one of the new mechanics. New mechanics are sweet. Okay, so, if you're familiar with Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Soulsborne, Demon Souls, any of that, then you know, when you do the jump and you land, you roll. You do a sick action roll, right? But check this out. How did he do that? Well, all you do is let go of the left stick. Yes, that's right. You let go of the left stick as you jump, and you will just land. You won't do the sick roll and end up rolling off the ledge you were jumping for and to your death. Okay, so remember how I said we were going to approach those guys another way? Now we're thinking with portals. Oh shit! Okay, that shield bash is really slow. Okay, my life flashed before my eyes. Alright, firebombs. We're gonna stick those on our quick bar. No particular reason. Alright. So, this gives us an opportunity to talk about another mechanic that's new to Dark Souls 3. So check this out, right? Switching items, right? Switching through items. Okay, now, watch this. Okay, that was 2 button presses. If you hold down a button, if you hold down, you're down on it. If you hold down on the D-pad, you will go to the item that is in your first quick item slot. So, let's just do a ridiculous demonstration here and put every... another mechanic, which is not new. It was in Bloodborne, but I don't see a lot of people using it. You can use your bumper buttons to switch between slots without backing out in your inventory, or in your equipment screen. So, yeah. And you'll notice it shows what's equipped with the red with the red sign, and then the brighter one is what's equipped in that slot in particular. So we're going to do a ridiculous example here, and we're going to equip every item in our inventory that we can. Okay? Alright, now we're on our dark sign. Really bad to be on your dark sign, right? That's about in the middle, right? Just about. We've got 9 items in here, and that's number 4. Alright, now check this out. 1 button press. You just hold it. Now, that will work. That will work for your items, right? That'll work for your items, and it will work for your spells. It will not work for your hands. So keep that in mind. It doesn't work for your hands. So if you're on your middle weapon and you hold it down, you're just going to switch to this. So keep that in mind if you're playing. It only works for items, but it also works for spells that'll go to your first spell slot as well. So, alright. Our health is a little bit down. We've used an Estus Flask. Shield's gonna be really fucking useless against anything that hits harder than anything. So let's just, fight a boss. So, the first thing you'll notice about this arena is it's super sick, super pretty, and awesome. And then the second thing you'll notice is this guy. He's kinda... Wow, he looks really cool. And he's got cool armor. And he's got a cool weapon. Right there. Is that his weapon? Can I take it? Nope. Remove sword, huh? Okay. That's, that looks like the thing that's in the bonfire, doesn't it? And that, on his back, well, that's, I wonder what that might be. Okay. So, well, you know what they say. YOLO. Oh, I forgot about that. Whew. Low health. Gotta watch out for this, gotta watch out for this. Oof, that drag. Give myself the damage buff. Oh shit. So yeah, that's what that black stuff was. If you're a red versus blue fan, you are afraid of black stuff. Oh, this could be clutch, or this could be super, super bad. Drink that Ash Estus, get my mana back. Last firebomb. Out of firebombs. And I'm dead. Pretty good showing, but I'm out of firebombs. So yeah, the Iudex Gundyr. It's spelled with an I, I-U-D-E-X, spelled Iudex, and that means judge. Gundyr is his name, Iudex is his title. Sit at the bonfire to repair my shitty weapon. Okay, so now we're going to do the boss run, and this time with less suck. One thing to do first, though, a little bit of housekeeping. You'll notice the firebombs are still on my quick bar at 0, which is really awesome, actually. That's another new mechanic. They stay... usable items will stay on your quick bar until you unequip them, even if they go to 0, which means... if I'm trying to use firebombs, I'm not going to accidentally chug an Estus when I meant to use a firebomb. Now, I'm still going to do the what the fuck am I doing animation, but I'm not going to use an Estus and feel dumb. Okay. So, now we're going to do the boss run in true Dark Souls fashion. Ah, fall damage. Unfortunate. Here we go. Got my souls. Charge up. Charge up again. Charge up. Charge up again. Drink the Ash Estus. Charge up. Out of juice. Yeah, we did it. And we got all fiery, which gave us a full heal and some cool stuff. And that creates a bonfire. Sick! Alright, well, let's light up the bonfire. Just to refresh our things. Have the option to leave the bonfire at this point. And we've got 3,300 souls. That's cool. That's cool. So that was Yudex Gundyr, our first boss fight, and damn is he a boss fight. What a hell of a tutorial boss, right? Almost seems wasted on the tutorial. Yep. And now we come through this door and we see some cool stuff. Broken straight sword, sick treasure. Here in the tutorial it tells you how to open the menu finally. So we're going to explore a little bit before we proceed on to that, our ultimate destination. Well, not our ultimate destination, but our current destination. Alright, just going to damage buff up. I don't know what I was doing right there. Okay. I meant to do a critical attack, but I ended up just hitting him. Yeah, so if you do a guard break, people open, it opens them up for a critical attack, which is pretty cool. So there's 4 ways to do a critical attack in Dark Souls 3. 3 of which work on player characters and NPC phantoms. So the 4 ways are the traditional backstab and parry, of course. The good old backstab and the good old parry. It's a backstab and a riposte. And then the 3rd way is the guard break. Do a guard break either through a kick or just through R1 spam, or however you break their guard. If they're turtling up and you break it, they're open for a critical attack, just like a riposte. And then the 4th type is for enemies that can't be critical attacked. They can't be parried or backstabbed or guard broken, like monster-type enemies. If you do enough damage, and I'm not exactly certain how it works, but at a certain point you'll do enough damage, or you'll do enough burst damage or something like that, but you will stagger them. And then once you stagger them, you'll be able to do a critical attack on them. So, keep that in mind. If you see them stagger, run around to their front and go neutral and do an R1, just like if you were doing a backstab or a riposte. So this guy is enjoying the view. Dude, I absolutely understand what you're doing there. Check to make sure there aren't any assholes, and then we're just gonna. That is a long way down. And there's nothing over here, except a sick view. Okay, and now you can see players can lay messages down in this area. Alright, so these guys are a barrel of laughs. We're going to approach them from the other side. We're going to try to sneak up, because I'm pretty sure they're going to wake up. I don't know what gives me that impression, but just have a thought. Alright, yeah, those enemies all kind of trigger each other. It's really a pain. Oh, that one dropped a Cleric's Sacred Chime, so these guys are kind of priests or something, I think. They're in this graveyard, right? And they've got robes, and they've got a chime, they drop chimes. So, yeah, they seem like maybe priests of clerics of some sort. That one was carrying a Cleric's Sacred Chime. Okay, we're gonna come around here, and we're gonna be super cautious with dog. Oh shit, the club knocks him back. Okay, stop barking and attack. Thank you. The knockback is kind of bad, but kind of good. It's good and bad. And we got an Ember. Now, Embers are pretty important. So after I killed the boss, you noticed I got all fiery and cool. Yeah, the Ember, it works kind of like Demon Souls in that there's, if you die, you will go back to your original state. It's kind of actually the opposite of Demon Souls in that respect. But when you beat a boss or use an Ember, you will become embered. You will have all these cool fire effects and be a flaming naked man, or a flaming naked person, or not naked. Who knows? Yeah, you'll get all these fire effects, and you will also get bonus HP, and it will enable multiplayer in both the cooperative and invasion respects. So it's rather like Demon Souls, except for a couple of notable things. I think it's kind of an interesting psychological thing that they did, in that it's an interesting psychological thing that they did, whereas in Demon Souls, you had a quote-unquote penalty, and I'm trying to play offline and I don't know how to actually set it to do that. In Demon Souls, you had a quote-unquote penalty, got the East-West shield there, because you started out in body form, and then you had a mandatory death that dropped you to soul form, and you lost 50% of your max HP. And so it was a penalty, right? And in Dark Souls 2, another Ember, sick. In Dark Souls 2, there was a similar system where every time you died, your max HP would go down. Now, and it would go all the way down to half. And then in both games, there was a ring that would cut that penalty in half, which everybody wore 100% of the time, which kind of basically just eliminated a ring slot and kind of eliminated the point of having the 50% penalty. So basically, what they've done is they've gotten rid of the 50%. It's about 25% now. And by framing it differently, by having you start off in your lower HP form, and then after you beat your first boss, gaining your higher HP, and then also not showing you what's missing from your bar, right? Not showing you what's missing from your max health bar when you're not embered. By just those differences in presentation, they've taken essentially the same system and framed it as a health bonus for beating a boss as opposed to a health penalty for dying. So yeah, that guy over there, he's almost as naked as me. He's almost as naked as me, and he's got a katana. And here's the thing. I don't want to lose my embers right now. Even though he would give me another 2 pieces of clothing, actually, I might want to kill him for his clothing. But first, let's because we're smart, we're gonna go in here, where clearly, like, the lit torches are designed to draw your eyes in, are designed to bring you in. And then here's this. Firelink Shrine. It looks a little different, doesn't it? In fact, if I was to say anything, I would say it looks like, like a Firelink Nexus, perhaps? Oh, who's this fellow? I wonder who this guy might be. Let's talk to him.
Ah, another one roused from the sleep of death. Well, you're not alone. We unkindled are worthless. Can't even die right. Gives me conniptions. And they'd have us seek the lords of Cinder and return them to their moulding thrones. But we're talking true legends, with the metal to link the fire. We're not fit to lick their boots.
He gives us the collapse gesture.
Don't you think?
I don't know, man. I don't know. So, this guy is unkindled like us. And he says that we're supposed to seek the... try to... what? Return the Lords of Cinder to their throne? What?
What a sick joke. Asking us to seek the Lords of Cinder and return them to their moulding thrones. We're talking true legends, those who would link the fire. We're not fit to lick their boots.
So, he's our crestfallen. And over here, who is this?
Welcome to the bonfire, unkindled one. I'm a firekeeper. I tend to the flame and tend to thee. The lords have left their thrones and must be delivered to them. To this end, I am at thy side.
Okay. So she's the Firekeeper, and she's how we level up. And you'll notice a few things about her. I mean, to me, she really seems to be an amalgamation of all the leveling maidens from Souls games. She seems like the Maiden in Black. Elements of her design come from that, but there's also elements of the plain doll. There's some elements of Shanalot, the Emerald Herald, and even Anastasia of Astora, I think. All of those combined into this new Firekeeper who can level us up. But first we're going to speak to her.
Ashen One, to be unkindled is to be a vessel for souls. Sovereignless souls will become thy strength. I will show thee how. Ashen One, bring new souls, plucked from their vessels.
Definitely a lot of Demon Souls vibes there. Well, we're not going to level up just yet because there's some things I want to do.
Farewell, Ashen One. May the flames guide thee.
Alright. She also responds to gestures just like the doll would. So yeah. Alright. Here's... Hello.
A pleasure to make thine acquaintance, Ashen One. I am but a humble handmaid of the shrine. Weapons, armor, trinkets, and spells. I've lots of little things to ease the burden of a weary traveler. And yes, I'm undead too, but not so charitable as to give my goods away. Ashen One, fetch souls and bring them to me. As is thy wont? No?
Okay, the Shrine Handmaiden. She is your starting merchant for the game. She's actually one of the main merchants. You'll notice you can sell items right off the bat. But let's talk to her a little bit more.
Ashen One, if my wares are not to thy satisfaction, bring me umbral ash. With ash, I'll fashion new wares. Is it not our sorry fate to sup on death?
Alright, so there she tells us how to expand her inventory, and then...
Knowest thou of that soppy gossip? That cordial intrusion layeth the path to Embers. And so thou art in need of a soapstone, Ashen One. Then thy pockets will overflow with souls to trade to me.
So, she's explaining the co-op mechanics to us, or she's explaining co-op to us, but because of the archaic language that they use for the character, which I appreciate, for immersion, it's kind of obtuse. So that's all she really has to say to us, but let's see what she has in her inventory. So she's got Embers that we can buy, repair powder, purple moss for poison, fire bombs, those are handy, prism stones of course, homeward bones, the white sign soapstone, the dried finger, a key, your basic soul arrow, a soul dart, a Farron dart, a soul dart. That's a new spell. That's a sort of quick cast, low damage spell. It's a range spam. Heal aid. Some basic weapons: your dagger, short sword, scimitar, halberd, sorcerer's staff, and a talisman. Torch, and some shields. Now, if you see right here, the little nipple icon in the lower left indicates that it's a parrying shield, so you can parry with it, and the little sword indicates that it is a shield that will allow you to use the weapon art of the weapon in your right hand. And then, of course, the square that we already saw with my shield is the shield bash. And from what I encountered, the shield bash was totally bad. Now, parrying in Dark Souls 3 is... it's not difficult, but it's different. And so a shield that is decent to block with is going to be very difficult to parry with. But I want to get another shield, so let's take a look at the stats on these. Leather shield doesn't look very good, and I don't know how good it'll be for parrying. I know the small leather shield is alright for it. Has higher magic, defense, and higher stability. Has parries. Higher stability, higher physical, higher magic, higher fire, higher lightning. Basically better in every way, and has the weapon skill. And then the large leather, which is just a regular shield. Oh, that's still a small shield, so interesting. And then the large leather, which is once again better in practically every way. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a large leather shield, just for the hell of it. I'm not going to grab this clothing because you know what? No. We don't have any ranged weapons that we can get, but these are the basic light weapon sort of things. And let's see, up here, get a better weapon. The dagger does a quick step. Stance is really good. You know what? I'm gonna get a short sword because stance is super handy. And then I'm gonna get heal aid, and just as a supplemental miracle to help me out. Right? So there we go.
Ashen One, be sure to bring more souls.
I'm pretty sure I can't use that chime, so I'm gonna have to go and get the talisman. Let me check the stat requirements on the chime. Yeah, it requires 14 faith. Oh shit. Let's check about equipping the shield. Yeah, the East-West shield is only better for magic defense. Everything else, large leather is better. So, yeah. And then we'll grab the short sword in our right hand. And then we'll go ahead and buy a talisman to cast our new miracle with.
Ashen One.
She loves her souls. Alright, so now we got talisman to be able to attune our super basic miracle. See the startup on that parry animation? It makes it very difficult to parry. However, blocking is fine. Let me test out the moveset on this short sword real quick. God, that roll is so fast because I'm at such low equipment load. Very nice. Typical straight sword moveset. Stance. Oh, I forgot to show the. It's got the roll stab. That jumping attack. Oh, another new feature. If you run an R2, you're running R2 as your jumping attack. It's pretty sick. Same as the running attack. Then fucking R2, stab, verticals. Same jumping attack. Oh yeah, another thing. You can quick R2 and charge R2. Right? Quick R2, charge R2. Alright. Oh, and finally, the stance. So these are the weapon skills. If you two-hand your weapon or you have a skill shield, as opposed to a parry shield or a bash shield, you will use the skill. Now it's important to check your weapon descriptions to figure out what it does, because the different skills operate differently. Some of them you just tap L2 and it does the thing, like my club, for example. But some of them have, for example, a stance, and that allows you to do other moves. In this case, the R1 is going to do a shield break, right? Which is the reason why I got this. It's the reason why I got this, because the shield break is super good. And then R2 is going to do that stab, which I've never used. But you'll notice it uses my mana. I'm not going to call it focus points because that is super dumb. It uses my mana, which is what the Ash Estus is for. So now, here's this fellow over here. Let's see who this is. This guy looks familiar, doesn't he? He looks very familiar. That's who could this very familiar man be?
Well, a newcomer, I see. I am Andre. I serve at this shrine as a humble smith, forging weapons. You're in search of the Lords of Cinder, I trust. A toilsome journey, I wager. You'll require good arms. Let me smith you weapons. I am a smith, such is my purpose.
All right, let's talk to him a little bit.
Weapons and protection are sturdy enough by and large, but when overused, they'll eventually break. When their durability is low, repair becomes a necessity. Use a powder, or simply rest at a bonfire. But should chance impel them break, bring them me. I'll hammer them back into shape. They take no pleasure in breaking, I assure ye. So handle them with care, if you would.
So, explaining repair mechanics and durability mechanics.
There are two ways to smith weapons. Simple reinforcement is one, and infusion the other. Reinforcement is straightforward. It strengthens a weapon without altering its property. Infusion is a more advanced form of smithing that infuses an element. Reinforcement requires titanite, and infusion requires gems. Bring the stones, and I'll do the smithing. It's my purpose, after all. In battle, your weapons are your only friends. Forge them well, and they won't let you down.
And he gives us a gesture after that little spiel on weapon upgrades, which is cool. Now, I really like the weapon upgrade system in Dark Souls 3 because they took the best elements from Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, and Bloodborne and threw them all in here. And that's the thing I'm going to be saying a lot because it happens a lot. There are new things like the weapon skill system and all that, but the old things that they brought in are all the best, the greatest hits, if you will. So, reinforced weapon, it takes 2 Titanite shards to reinforce, and some smattering of souls. For reinforcing, you can do melee, ranged, you can spell casting tools, and shields. Yeah. So that's pretty simple. Then infusion. Now, right now, he can only infuse certain things, or certain types of infusions, and you'll notice this only applies to melee weapons and shields. You can't do it to ranged weapons, you can't do it to spellcasting tools, and you can't do it to any boss weapon or any special weapons. Special weapons being the ones that are upgraded with Twinkling Titanite. You can only do it to regular Titanite upgrade items. So we look here Obviously, we can't do it now because we don't have any gems. But the default paths are refined. The ones that Andre starts with are refined, raw, and fire. Now, your refined is going to basically increase your scaling for both your strength and your dexterity. So that is your quality. That is your quality. As you can see right there, refined right now would be probably a decent choice. Raw would be better right now because my stats are low. But refined, since my stats are even, refined makes perfect sense if I keep them even. It does reduce the base damage by 10 here and increases, so it's actually really bad in this case because it reduces the base damage by 10 and only increases the scaling damage by 6, so you lose 4 damage. But raw takes off 10 points of scaling and adds 31 points of base damage, which would be great for a deprived like me right now. What would be even better is a fire weapon, which once again takes away all scaling. There is an infusion path later on that does fire damage and has scaling with intelligence and faith, but the early fire upgrade is no scaling. But it takes away the scaling and gives us 89 damage in both physical and fire. And considering how weak enemies are to fire in the early game, it's a pretty good upgrade path for the early game. And you can strip an infusion out of a weapon or switch infusions. You just need the stones for it. So there's no problem with that. But yeah, so this makes the fire gem a really good starting gift for the early game. However, we don't have enough of anything to do anything. He lets us allot our Estus. You can flip it back and forth. You can flip it all the way to either flask. And I have a problem with that. I don't like that. That's one of my main criticisms, actually, is the fact that you can flip it all the way to either flask. You can have 0 in a flask. I like the fact that you can allot it. That's nice. It's more than I thought we were going to have when I learned about the 2-flask system. But the fact that you can completely eliminate a flask, I don't like that. I don't think you should be able to do that. But I didn't make the game. Anyway, but I am playing the game, so I will be leaving 1 charge in my Ash Flask, even though a lot of people will go full regular Estus, because I like to use my weapon skills and spells from time to time. So we're just going to leave our Estus as is, and we're going to see if Andre has anything more to say.
Another matter. Infusing weapons with gems requires a special kind of coal. My humble coals won't be any use infusing more unusual gems. I know, it's an awful shame, but it's all I have. Oh, please don't give me that look. Believe it or not, I'm quite thin-skinned.
So there he tells us how to get, how to unlock new infusions.
Oh, by the by, if you find any Estus shards, bring them here. They can be used to reinforce either of your Estus flasks. Without those flasks, you'd want for life or focus. And they'll always stay with you. Why not treat them well?
So, and there we have him telling us how to upgrade our Estus. And I know for a fact that that's all his dialogue, so...
Prithee, be careful. I don't want to see my work squandered.
I've repeated that whole chain enough times to know. Later, Andre. We'll be coming back soon. Now, we can explore the rest of the shrine, but you know what? I'm gonna do that in a moment. How many souls do I have? 1166. You know what? Yeah. So, oh, here's a handy thing. If you want to pop multiple soul items, set your inventory to this mode, and it won't close in between soul items. So here we go. Let's pop these souls. Pop multiple again. So 2 fading souls. That's 50 and 50. So that's 100. Then deserted corpse is 200, and unknown traveler is 1,000. I think it was. Yeah. So pretty nice. Pretty nice. All right. So looking pretty good. Let's do some management. We're gonna toss the homeward bones on there because we want homeward bones to be readily accessible. With that, you can do 1, 2, 3 button presses to use your homeward bone. So pretty good. Very good for panic boning. All right, let's talk to the Firekeeper again.
Ashen One, produce the coiled sword at the bonfire. The mark of ash will guide thee to the land of the lords, to Lothric, where the homes of the lords converge. Very well. Then touch the darkness within me. Take nourishment from these sovereignless souls.
Okay, so now is a good time to explain stats. We're going to make this really quick because there are plenty of videos where we can do that. So down here, Vigor. It's your HP and frost resistance. Attunement, it's your mana and your number of spell slots. Endurance gives you stamina, resistance to lightning and bleeding. Vitality increases your physical defense, although all of the stats will do that at some point, but Vitality will do it every time and more. Also does maximum equip load and poison resist. Your strength requirement to wield weapons and will fucking increase your attack strength with the appropriate scaling. And it gives fire resist for some reason. Who knows? Dexterity required for fast, spinny, slicey, dicey weapons. It gives you scaling. It reduces your spellcasting time and your fall damage. Intelligence required for sorceries and pyro. Pyromancies have stat requirements now. They don't just scale; they also have stat requirements. And intelligence also gives you magic defense. And faith is for miracles and pyromancies and gives you dark defense. And finally, your luck stat. Luck gives you item discovery. It increases bleeding and poison capabilities. Now, I'm not exactly sure how that works. I don't know if it makes the build-up work faster or if it increases the damage when you do stack it on somebody. I'm not sure. It also gives you curse resist. Curse resist is pretty cool. Curse resist is pretty nice. I like curse resist. There may or may not be cursing things in this game. Curse in the game, curse in Dark Souls 3 is not anywhere near as bad as it was in Dark Souls 1, but it's not as pointless as it was in Dark Souls 2. So, yeah. But it will... You don't want to get cursed. So right now, I want HP. Hold on. I can get 3 levels from what I have on me. Oh yeah. Alright. So we're just going to stack Vigor right now, because we want that HP, because we're a naked man. Alright.
Farewell, Ashen One. May the flames guide thee.
Ah, yeah. See, there you can see that she responds to gestures just like the doll. So, produce the coiled sword at the bonfire. Wait, hold on. I forgot to talk to him. I'm gonna go talk to him. A lot of people miss him, and I very nearly forgot to talk to him.
O thou unkindled, and a seeker of lords, I am Ludleth of Corland. Look not in bewilderment as I say. I linked the fire long ago, becoming the Lord of Cinder. If substantiation be thy want, set thine eyes upon my child corse. This sad cadaver, no need to be coy. Have a closer look. Knowest thou of our purpose? 5 thrones will take 5 lords as kindling for the linking of the fire. The fast-fading flame must be licked to preserve this world. A reenactment of the first linking of the fire. So it is, I became a lord of Cinder. I may be but small, but I will die a colossus.
Well,
Now, do not be away over long.
so you'll notice we got 4 empty thrones, but Ludleth here decided to stay. Now, if we go around, there are inscriptions on the backs of the thrones. We've got Yorm the Giant, obviously. The Abyss Watchers, the Watchers of the Abyss. All the swords. Interesting fur thing on it. We'll leave that one for last. Ludleth the Exile. St. Aldrich of the Deep. And if you'll notice, it's covered in some sort of covering. And then finally this last one. Holy King Lothric, last hope of his line. So apparently the king has the same name as the kingdom. And these 4 have left where Ludleth has remained. Interesting. Well, now if you'll notice, this bonfire is a very Lord Vessel looking type bonfire. Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting. Let's go ahead and attune our spell. We have the storage box. Can burn undead bone shards. We don't have any though. Oh look, there's spoilers. So there's a bunch of areas of the shrine, but there's nobody here yet, so there's no point in exploring most of them, except we go up here. This looks very familiar. Yep. Seed of a Tree of Giants. Giant trees. Giant seeds are back. The seeds are back. They function the same way they did in Dark Souls 2. And I'm not sure exactly what causes it to drop. It may be defeating a boss as a summon for somebody else, or it may be defeating an invader or being defeated by an invader. I'm not sure which. So now if we go over here, that is locked. That is the soul of a deserted corpse, which we will just hold on to. That's a ladder we're going to be able to kick down later. See, there's that grass. There's that bridge up there that connects that tower to this tower. Well, maybe we'll be able to drop down. Now, there is a way to get up to that item on the roof over there and get some cool stuff early on. You can jump off the tree. I have never personally managed it, and I don't feel like doing sequence breaks right now. I'm kind of trying to do a optimal progression path through the game, if you will. So, yeah. I wonder why there are all these bloodstains here in Firelink Nexus, just like there were bloodstains in the original Nexus. I wonder why. Maybe people are killing themselves for some gameplay mechanic-related reason. Who knows? So, yeah. I think I want to go challenge Katana Man to try and get his clothes.